Good morning, Primetime Squad. How is everybody doing this beautiful Wednesday morning? It is September 7th, 2019, and I have some breaking news for you guys. Some really exciting news for a lot of people to hear this morning that Cyntoia Brown, who was committed of a horrific crime at the age of 16 years old, was released after serving 15 years of a life sentence. This lady was supposed to actually serve 51 years before she was even eligible for parole. And a lot of people at that time, including celebrities like the Kardashians, like T.I., celebrities like Rihanna, people like Viola Davis, Alyssa Milano. A lot of people, was petitioning for her to get clemency because they felt like the sentence was too harsh for a young girl who kept pleading that she was acting in self-defense at the time of the crime. She had went to prison for life for killing 43-year-old Johnny Allen. And Johnny Allen at the time was actually one of her Johns because Cyntoia Brown was actually sex trafficked by her own boyfriend. Now, for some of y'all who do not know this story, what I'm going to do is play a clip of some commentary that I did on this story about maybe 8, 9 months ago at the time, when a lot of people were, trying to get her released from prison. They were trying to get her clemency, from the governor of Tennessee. And today, that clemency was granted. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a clip real quick of commentary that I did on this a while back so that those of y'all who don't know about the story can understand what was really going on. One moment. Now, the child's name, well, she was a child then, she's now a grown woman, but her name is Cyntoia, again, Cyntoia, Cyntoia Brown. She was born to a mother who was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And the mother had, at that time, she was around the same age as Cyntoia when she committed the murder. Her mother was about 15, 16 when she got pregnant and had Cyntoia, and also addicted to drugs and alcohol, like I said, and eventually realized she could not take care of her baby. So she ended up giving her baby up for adoption. That was Cyntoia. The lady who adopted her name is Georgina, or AKA Gina Mitchell. That's Cyntoia's adopted mom. As they were like explaining about Cyntoia, like her life and her history and her background, they were saying, she's a complex child with horrible experiences in the 16 years of her life before, she committed that crime. Not committed that a crime, but committed that crime because she had committed crimes before then, prostituting. That's a crime right there in itself. And doing, hardcore drugs and other things that she was doing back then. But she said that actually that she thinks her life would have been different, had it been she allowed her adoptive mom to be more active in her life. And I think what she meant by then, when I was watching the videos of her, telling her story, she was basically saying she had, grew up feeling abandoned, struggled with abandon issues, trust issues. She didn't really have any guidance per se because she didn't allow her adopted mom to go there with her. You know what I mean? Because, she didn't trust her, the abandonment issues. Even though she adopted her at a young age, she still dealt with, serious, issues like that. So that's why she claims, she really didn't have any guidance at a young age. Now, I think that's kind of true among most children who are adopted and given up by their parents or neglected or abused or beaten or raped or whatever, by their parents and then given up for adoption. They go through those struggles, of abandonment, trust issues and whatnot. And I believe most of them actually receive counseling. I don't know how much counseling or how many years of counseling, but I do believe that they should at least receive, especially if they adopted out as a small child, once they realize they adopted, at least receive counseling to at least probably the age of 16. That's just what I think. But, excuse me. Let me get a drink. Let me get a sip. Mm. But as I was saying, after years of being molested, because this girl went through a lot of trauma, a lot of horrible experiences. She endured years of rape, being molested, being abused, by so many people, including relatives. After years of that, Cyntoia turned to the streets and eventually ran into a guy named Cutthroat. His real name is actually Garion McGloven. McGlothen. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. McGloven. So Garion, who goes by the name as Cutthroat, was actually a pimp, or at least he was her pimp. I don't know if he had other women or girls working under him, but he was her pimp. But she had met him around the age of 16. She had ran away and met him, and he's 24 years old when they met. Again, he goes by the name of Cutthroat. And they started living together. They moved around a lot because, he wasn't really like working. And she was, only barely 16 years old. So they moved around a lot, stayed where they could, different hotels. And mind you, although she was being abused, throughout her life and raped and molested and beat, he was also abusive to her. And also would make, outrageous demands from her, forcing her to have sex with his friends, forcing her to have sex with as many people as she can, so that she can make as much money as she can for him. Not only was he abusive physically, but he was also abusive mentally. He forced her to prostitute herself for money. He also regularly choked her till she became unconscious, beat her, raped her. I mean, it was awful. It was awful. It's like she even around her family, she was abused, raped, molested, beat, even by she said her adopted dad. He used to slap her around all the time and tell her, I can do it just because I want to do it. And, things like that. She endured a lot. And so I think when she met him, she thought, this man is 24 years old, probably had some kind of father, stigma with him, needed a father figure or someone like that in her life. And he ends up being an abuser as well. He also would give her like a laundry list of items that he wanted. Like, he had told her that he wanted her to make enough money to provide him with a new truck. He wanted the big pimped out rims, the big wheels, all that. They down in Tennessee. This is where all this happened, in Tennessee. And, they down there on them big wheels and them big cars and everything. And that's what he wanted, among, other things. And so he would, make demands of her to have as much sex as she could, to make as much money as she could. And again, he would also force her to have sex with his friends too. But she was terrified. She explained how she was terrified of him, but also still too scared to leave because of his threats and because of the fact that he also knew where her family lived, where her adoptive mom and dad, they had other children. So it wasn't just them. It wasn't just her. She had sisters and brothers, by her adoptive parents. Not only was the man abusive, but like I said, he also was abusive mentally and physically and had the child brainwashed. He would explain to her, that girls were born to be whores, and that's what she was. She was a whore. He called her all kind of names. You're a whore, you're a slut. Nobody but him wants her. Nobody but him desires her. And the best thing was for her to do was to learn how to be the best whore she can be. Be a good whore. Be good at what you do. Perfect your whoreness. Basically, is what he would tell her. She also, and this is what she explained, to a judge in a 2012 appeal hearing, because she had appealed her sentence because this child, I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty, but this child, again, she committed murder. She killed a John, and she thought that her life was in danger, and that's why she killed him. So let me give you a little background on the murder. It actually happened like August 5th, August 6th of 2004. I think August 5th was when he picked her up. And August 6th, like after midnight or somewhere around that area, was when he like died. But they were living, her and her pimp were living at a place, a motel or hotel, I think it was a motel called In Town Suites, in Nashville, Tennessee. And that is where they did most of their, getting high, having sex. She was like, this is all we normally did. If she wasn't out prostituting, trying to get some money some type of way, they spent most of their time up in the hotel just getting high as a kite, smoking everything under the sun, getting drunk, having sex. Usually him and her, but sometimes, again, he would force her to have sex with his friends. But this particular evening, he had told her that she was slacking and needed to go make some money. She was not making enough money for him. For him. Again, I don't know if she was his only, whore per se, prostitute, working girl, whatever you want to call her. But again, he was always making demands of her to make more money. So that evening, she had made plans to go to East Nashville, which is like a primal territory for catwalking, prostitution, to find Johns. And a lot of people hung out there. So she knew that was a place where she can probably make a lot of money that night. So what she did, she left the hotel. She walked to a nearby Sonic. And while she was there, walking towards Sonic, a guy in a truck caught her attention. And she approached the truck, and of course, he was a John, and he asked her basically, would she be willing to hook up with him for that night? And she, of course, was. She was trying to get her coins that evening. So she told him a fee. I don't know what he asked for. I didn't find that in any of the stories or any of the videos I watched, but basically it was sex, some type of sex that he wanted. So she said 200. He was like, no, sis, that's too much. How about 100? She was like, nah, bruh, that's not enough. So they settled and agreed to 150. So that's how much she was charging him to do whatever she does, best. Normally prostitutes and Johns, when they hook up, if it's not at a hotel, if it's not in the John's vehicle, around the corner, in an alley, somewhere, I guess that's like normally where they would hook up. This man didn't want to go to the hotel. And I guess that's where she probably normally took guys, to the hotel, since she lived in a hotel. He wanted to go to his house. Now, that right there should have sent off some major alarms to this child. Some big red flags to this child. But it didn't. And I believe that is because she was young, for one. Her pimp didn't school her well. He was telling her, you got to be a good whore. That's what girls are born to do. You need to make sure you do your best to be a good prostitute. But I don't think he was really teaching her much besides probably how to have sex and different type of ways to have sex and how much money she should charge for sex. I don't think he schooled her as far as, protecting yourself, how to sense danger, because normally A prostitute is not going to jump in some John's car that she doesn't know from Adam and take off into the night to his house, to his home, where she has no idea who else is there, how many people live there, or what's waiting on her there. And that's why I say, again, I don't think he, schooled her too well. But anywho, on the drive to his house, they shared some small talk. Alan told her, he used to be in the army. He was also a trained sharpshooter. He also revealed to her that information because she had told him that she was originally from Fort Campbell. And so that's when he went into, oh, you're from Fort Campbell, I used to be in the military, da 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 da. Once they got to his home, as Cyntoia was walking around, she noticed guns lying around. She noticed a couple of shotguns. And then while she was eating her food that he brought her from, Sonic, because that's where they met, in the Sonic parking lot. So he must have paid for her food. For some strange reason, she said he showed her a chrome gun with a black handle. She also expressed that while talking to her, it seemed as if he was trying to make her understand how much more important he was compared to her. And in her mind, I think that's when she kind of sensed maybe she shouldn't have came to this man's house, because then in her mind, and I'm sure this child could have been drunk, she could have been high. That's all her and her pimp did, was get high and get drunk and have sex. So I can imagine she was probably high. She was probably around that time calming down. She was at 8, took a road trip. She probably was coming down off her high and was thinking, oh my God, I'm in this man's house. He got shotguns. He's showing me guns. He's talking about he used to be a sharpshooter. He's basically telling all these things to her, like all these important things. I'm this, I did this, I was great at this, and she's sitting there like, he's telling me all this stuff about him. And I'm in a place where don't nobody even know where I'm at. She was like, my pimp, cutthroat, he didn't even know where she was at. She got out, walked to Sonic, met up with this John, and left. Her family didn't know where she was. Her mother, her father, her siblings, nobody knew where she was. Nobody. And that's when it kind of hit her, like, okay, should I have came with this man, just for these coins? Now, basically, when they had, while they were conversating, they were making a little more small talk, and they headed for his bedroom. While in the bedroom, while preparing for having sex, clothes off, pre-sex stuff. While in bed, she claimed at first, he was really gentle, caressing and just being, a normal guy or whatnot, as normal as I guess a John could be, should I say. Then she said just out of the blue, he just flipped and started getting rough with her. She said he started getting rough with her and pulling on her and forcefully, and even grabbed her vagina area, like grabbed it, like whole-handed, just grabbed it and tried to force her to him, pulling at her down there and stuff. And she didn't like it, of course. She was like, what the heck is going on? What is you doing? And she kind of like started panicking. She was basically taken aback, just didn't see this coming. I don't know why. Again, like I said, her pimp didn't do a good job of schooling her about safety, obviously. Then she claims, while he was getting rough with her, she was trying to pull away, and he leaned over the bed to grab something under the bed. At that time, she really started to panic, thinking, he's grabbing a weapon or something, or I don't know, maybe grabbing some tape, some rope. She didn't know. She didn't know. So, she was panicking. She scooched away from him, a little further, close enough to reach her purse, and grabbed her gun. He didn't know she had a gun. She grabbed, and that's one good thing I can say, most streetwalkers, prostitutes, whatever you want to call them, they do normally carry weapons. They do normally carry weapons. She grabbed her gun and out of her purse and she shot him. I think she shot him a couple of times. Once she realized he was dead, she grabbed her belongings, grabbed the money he was, to pay her with, grabbed his car keys to his truck because she didn't have no way back. She got a ride with him there. He was dead. I mean, I guess she could have called the cops. Probably not, a wise choice for her, in that situation. Maybe that's what she should have done, but y'all know how it is. She did not call the cops. She grabbed his truck, his keys, took his truck, and went back to the hotel where her and her, pimp had been holed up, had been living. Now, this is the story she told the cops. And during her trial, this is the story that was told. But after their investigation, the DA and the prosecutors claimed that the John, Mr. Allen, was actually fast asleep and facing away from her when she shot him. But she claimed, even after they suggested that theory, that she never slept, they never was asleep. That's her story. That's her story. That's their story. Okay, Primetime Squad. Again, that is the story of Cyntoia Brown, a young lady, a young woman, a teenager who had went to prison at the age of 16 years old. She was supposed to do life. She was supposed to do 51 years in total. And that was for the murder of 43-year-old Johnny Allen. Again, celebrities have petitioned. Celebrities, high profile actors, actresses, entertainers. A lot of people had petitioned clemency for Cyntoia Brown. And today, she has been released. So a lot of people, believe that she should have not even been sentenced that long. What she did as far as killing him, it was basically her word of self-defense. That was her story. She was sticking to it. But the prosecutors, they was like, well, we can prove that you shot him because you wanted to rob him. So, again, a lot of people, because of her story, okay, she shot him because she wanted to rob him. She was out in the middle of nowhere. She had no transportation to get back. Her pimp boyfriend didn't know where she was, so she just shot him because she wanted to rob him. And then what? Take his truck and drive off in the middle of the night. It really didn't make sense to a lot of people. But anyway, she was released. A Tennessee Governor, Bill Haslam, granted clemency to Cyntoia Brown, who had been serving a life sentence, but was released on parole today. Now, another thing some people might think was too harsh is the fact that her parole is 15 I think 10 years. I think 10 years. So she's going to remain on parole supervision for 10 years old. For 10 years. She's now 30 years old. So she's going to remain on parole, supervised parole for the next 10 years on the condition she does not violate any state, any federal, any laws. She has to hold a job and she has to participate in regular counseling sessions. So it is 10 years. But to me, I guess if I was her and I'm supposed to serve 51 years and I've only served the opposite, 15 years, 10 years of parole, I would take that as a blessing. it's better than being in prison for another 35 something years. So, but there are people, who are like, the 10 years is too much for parole, but again, if that was me, I would take it as a blessing. So that is my breaking news story, my updated story. I did a story on this months and months ago, and I was hoping at that time that one day I could do a story on her receiving clemency, which she has. Again, Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam granted clemency to Cyntoia Brown, who had been serving a life sentence of 51 years. She was released today on parole after serving 15 years from the date she was first arrested. And again, she has 10 years of supervised parole that she has to be on before they can release her from parole. So, with that being said, Primetime Squad, thank you for tuning in for this update and breaking news report. Make sure you click the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you are not already subscribed. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can receive all my notifications whenever I go live or whenever I upload. And in the meantime and in between time, Primetime Squad, stay safe, be blessed, and I'm out. Deuces.